All right. So, good evening, everyone. And we have reached the last parallel session, that is parallel session 26, which is called Caste and Cinema. I am Ritika Roy Chaudhary, a postgraduate student at the Department of English, Presidency University. And a very big welcome to all the presenters, the participants, and the chair. This session is going to be chaired by Arijeet Mandal. Arijeet Mandal is currently employed as an assistant professor in Department of Film Studies at Jadavpur University. He has just submitted his PhD dissertation at the Department of English, University of Delhi. His PhD dissertation was on the philosophical and political history of disgust, titled Messed Up My Stomach, a study of concepts and natures of disgust in Indian short fiction. He has completed his MPhil degree course from the Center of Social Sciences, Calcutta, and successfully submitted the thesis Struggle for Kamtapur, Haunting Spectres and Changing Pantheons in 2014. Arijeet's primary interests are studies in aesthetics of decay, disgust, and horror, while his major interest lies in comparative philosophy and film philosophy. He is also interested in studying history of emotions. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this session, and we will um, begin with Aazhi Arasi, Miss Aazhi Arasi. But just as a note, I would like to say from this side of the chair that very interesting and dedicate and hear a panel specifically they specifically talking about caste and cinema, because film studies, film theory, Indian film studies itself is a very small section in academia, and specifically to see the relationship of caste and um, cinema as a language, film making and film studies is a very novel and very new approach. And I would like to add that all the present all the participants here who are presenting the paper and their own um, they are very near this. So I would like to, without further ado, I would like to introduce all and thank all the paper presenters. So yeah, and so Miss Azah uh, Aazhi RC is from Chennai. She has completed her undergraduate course in English at Stella Maris College, Chennai, and masters in English literature at the English and Foreign Language University, Shillong campus. Currently, she is a research scholar at the Department of English at Stella Maris College, Chennai. Her areas of research are casteism and existentialism. Very well. So over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. So I'll just share my screen. I hope the screen is visible, the slides.
Yeah, they are visible.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much, sir. And my name is Arasi. It's a Tamil name, so I think it would be
Oh,
difficult for
sorry.
other people to get it. So it's pronounced Arasi, but it's totally fine. So
Sorry.
my presentation is on the paper is titled A Study of Kaala and Karnan as Debrahminising Narratives. The same two movies were discussed in the first session. So I think the conference has come a full circle because even in the last session, it's the same movies that are being discussed. So let's start. One of the scenes in Ranjith's Kaala shows Zarina, a woman activist, walking out furiously after being compelled to prostrate at the feet of a Brahmin man. The act of falling at the feet of another person reeks of inequality to her, and she's sickened by the very idea of it. Her humiliation happens in the presence of Lord Ram's statue, who's looking over the scene as if sanctioning the act. The very next scene takes place at Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy's colony, where we catch a glimpse of the statue of Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy in the background, in a way to remind the audience the importance of self respect and equality that he preached, and the Brahminical oppression that he opposed. This juxtaposition of Lord Ram and the one named after him, E.V. Ramaswamy, the and the extremely contrary ideologies that they stand for is important to understanding the ideological premise of this anti-caste narrative. E.V. Ramaswamy, popularly known as Periyar, was a champion of self-respect movement which was founded in 1925 in Tamil Nadu during the time when Indian nationalists were fighting for freedom from the British. Periyar focused on the internal inequalities that were crippling the country and believed that true freedom could not be achieved unless caste and gender hierarchy are eradicated. He prioritized self respect over Swaraj. Periyar identified the institutions that denied the lower caste people and women their self respect and vehemently opposed them. God and religion were held as the source of all social evils as they legitimized caste, gender hierarchies, and Brahmin supremacy, and led to the detriment of the dignity and liberty of people. Periyar fiercely advocated anti Brahminism as he believed that only the complete destruction of oppressive Brahminical supremacy in all spheres would aid in establishing an egalitarian society. This anti Brahminical stance earned him the name Brahmana Dveshi, meaning abuser of Brahmins. But Karthik Ram Manoharan, in his discussion of Periyar's ideas, defines anti Brahminism as not an opposition to a single caste but a comprehensive critique of religious, cultural, political, and philosophical systems that were based on social hierarchy, inequality, and denial of freedoms. It is in this context of Periyar's anti-Brahmanism that the paper intends to read Pa Ranjith's Kaala and Mari Selvaraj's Karnan, which offers strong critiques of Brahminical Hinduism, Brahminical patriarchy, and Brahminical state, which network together. So the analysis of movies would be literary. Since the chair is a student of film studies, I'm not going to be talking about the cinematography or the frames. Okay. So, Paranjit's Kaala or Kaala, set in Dharavi, follows the struggles of a local moderated leader, Kaala, who tussles with the right wing government to protect the land rights of the marginalized people. He opposes Haridev Abhyankar or Aridada, who, under the scheme Pure Mumbai, tries to beautify and develop Dharavi, which is rightly interpreted by the people of Dharavi as an attempt to snatch their land away from them. This movie is overtly political as it draws heavily on many contemporary social and political events. Mari Selvaraj's Karnan is about the people of Kodinkulam's fight for a bus stop and how the titular character leads the community in their united demand for human dignity. The community faces oppression from the neighboring village consisting of dominant intermediate caste people and brutal police force as they dare to transgress caste boundaries. In this case, which merely means acting with self-respect. Pa Ranjit with his Neelam Productions and Mari Selvaraj bring into forefront an informed and sensible discussion of caste in their films. Their films avoid portraying Dalit characters as gullible victims and project them as agentive people who strive to improve their standing by opposing the oppressive institutions by themselves and do not require a Brahmin or Savarna savior. Their movies defy the Brahminical gaze and do not rely on Brahminical aesthetics to delight the audience. In fact, Kala and Karnan become antithetical or counter narratives to the Brahminical narratives of Nayagan and Talapati, both coincidentally directed by Maniratnam and produced some 3 decades before. The two sets of movies have similar premises. Kala and Nayagan deal with a local leader in Dharavi, and Karnan and Talapati are loose retellings of the mythological story of Karnan. Nayagan and Talabadi are Brahminical narratives in the sense that they aesthetically, politically, and socially keep in with the Brahminical value systems. Nayagan tries to aesthetically please the audience by showing scenic Bombay. And despite the story being set in Dharavi, the scenes are shot in touristy Mumbai spots. On the other hand, Kaala showcases the filth and dirt of Dharavi. Though both the movies, Nayagan and Talabadi, place their protagonists, Velu Nayakar and Surya, in the midst of protagonists themselves do not belong to these castes, and for which they later turn into saviors. It's only due to an unfortunate turn of events that they accidentally end up in these places. And it is this misplacement that remains the greatest tragedy of all. Um, and the same doesn't hold true for Kaala and Karnan. So, Nayagan and Talabadi are stories that foreground the individual and deal with the moral musing of whether the protagonists are good or bad people.